protagonist Kaito Takagi, an ordinary high school student living a quiet life. He spends his days exploring dungeons in Japan, hunting slimes to earn some extra cash. One day, a rare golden slime appears, and after Kaito defeats it, he finds a very valuable item, a card that can summon mythical beings. Kaito decides to use it and summons a stunning warrior maiden. Now Kaito has a chance to rise above his ordinary explorer life. Get ready for a modern fantasy story filled with battles? Our story begins today with this new anime when that beautiful boy named Takagi was in the dungeon, and it seems he was killing some creatures to gain a lot of energy. Suddenly, a slime appeared in front of him. He used the deadly spray and killed it instantly. Takagi had spent 2 years in the abyss, doing nothing but hunting slimes. He had killed 999, with just one more to reach 1,000. Despite this, he was still the lowest ranked among the Takagi continued on his way, but was surprised by a golden slime, a perfect opponent to complete his 1,000 kills. He approached it cautiously and sprayed it, but it escaped. However, he used the deadly mobile cannon and defeated it instantly. To his surprise, his level did not change despite the rarity of the golden slime. He then approached its core and found a picture of a girl on it. Upon examining her identity, he discovered she was classified as a Valkyrie, and her name was Sylvie. It seemed this was a servant card. He looked around to see if anyone was watching him, and when he was sure he was safe, he said, "Thank God, I won't give it to anyone since it belongs to me now." He took out his cell phone to find information about the servant, but unfortunately, there was no official database information on Sylvie. When he searched for the Valkyrie class, he found it was legendary, meaning this card was extremely rare. Takagi exited the gate and met his powerful companions, wishing he could own armor and weapons like them someday. If he sold the card at a high price, it would bring him a fortune. The scene shifted to Takagi visiting a girl who buys and appraises goods. He went to her to sell some cores, 3 slime cores in total, worth 1,500. He said to her, "All right, dear, put it in my bank account." Then he asked her, let's say I got a rare servant card that summons an angel, for example. How much could that card sell for? She replied, "Well, my friend, that's just a rumor, but I've heard those rare cards can sell for 1,000,000,000 yen. Takagi was astonished and left, talking to himself, saying, a billion, I will become a millionaire." He walked through the streets, still talking to himself about the 1,000,000,000 yen. It seemed someone was watching him specifically. Then he met his friends Shinji and Hayato, who said to him, "What's wrong, my friend? You seem completely lost." He replied, "No, my friends, I'm fine. I didn't sleep well last night. They said, all right, we have an explorer entry card to this place, so we can enter the tourist area for free at any time." They then boarded the high-speed metro just as the sun was setting. During the ride, his friends learned that Takagi was still at level 3 and had only been killing slimes. He asked them why they no longer ventured into the dungeons. His friend replied, "I don't want to. Do you remember how we went straight to the 2nd floor the first time we entered the abyss? Do you remember what happened when we encountered that big green goblin? We thought it would be easy, but it was incredibly strong and beat us up badly. It was a terrible experience, one like we'd never had before. We recovered thanks to God's grace first and then the healing potions, but that beating was enough for me. It's been almost 2 years since then. But I'm surprised at you, Takagi, that you haven't gotten tired of killing slimes. Are you that obsessed with them?" Takagi replied, "No, my friends, I'm not obsessed with them exactly, but I have my reasons." Finally, in the evening, precisely at 10:00 p.m., Takagi arrived home. He went inside and had dinner with his father and mother. His mother asked him about his studies, and Takagi assured her that everything was fine. He then went to take a bath, and while sitting in the bathtub, he thought about what to do with the servant card. He didn't know if summoning her would make him stronger and allow him to explore deeper levels. But if he had 1,000,000,000 yen, he could buy the gear and weapons. He wanted and also buy many games and a mansion with a big pool. The next morning, Takagi left his house to go to school. He met his classmate and neighbor, Katsuragi. He greeted her and took her along to school. On their way, they talked about school news and the recently colder weather. Katsuragi mentioned that she saw him returning home last night and asked where he had been. Takagi became nervous because he didn't want to tell her he had gone to the abyss. He said he was exploring the city with his friends, Aoyama and Mizutani. Suddenly, he saw them ahead and hurried to them, begging them not to tell Katsuragi he had been in the abyss last night. Katsuragi asked them where they'd gone last night, and each of the three gave a different answer. This made Katsuragi suspicious, so she asked Takagi again if he had gone to the abyss. Takagi assured her he had not. Katsuragi then suggested they hurry to school so they wouldn't be late for their classes. They all went to school, and Takagi sat with his friends, Aoyama and Mizutani, asking them what they would do if they got a rare servant card. Aoyama replied that he would sell it immediately because such cards were worth hundreds of millions of yen. There was no need to summon servants unless they were inside the dungeons, so selling it was the best option. Takagi found this idea convincing and started considering selling it. The teacher then began the lesson, explaining that humanity was born about 5 million years ago, and around 1 million years ago, our ancestors left the African continent. Takagi zoned out during the lesson, thinking about the servant card. He knew that once he summoned Sylvie, he wouldn't be able to sell the card anymore, and was unsure if summoning her would be beneficial. After class, Takagi went to the abyss, walking until he reached a place without any cameras. He took out the servant card and summoned Sylvie for Katsuragi. Sylvie appeared massive in size and hugged Takagi tightly, making him very scared. But this situation only lasted a few moments. When Takagi opened his eyes, he saw a small girl talking to him, saying she was Sylvie. Takagi was shocked by her small size and bid farewell in his mind to the gear, weapons, games, and mansion with a pool he had hoped to buy with the card. Sylvie asked him if something was bothering him. Takagi replied, "No, there's nothing wrong. You will come with me and hunt slimes with your older brother." Sylvie sensed a nearby slime, and they quickly moved towards it. Takagi wanted to kill it himself, but asked Sylvie if she wanted to defeat it. She agreed, used her magic, and struck with incredible force. Takagi was amazed, saying, "That was a 170-point attack, 17 times stronger than mine. You're very powerful." Sylvie started crying, saying she was so hungry she felt like she might collapse. She then saw the magic core and asked Takagi if she could eat it. He had heard that servants consumed cores, so he let her eat it. Sylvie was overjoyed and thanked Takagi, saying she felt much better. She sensed more slimes nearby, and they ran towards them. Takagi asked her if she could sense the locations of slimes and other monsters and use her abilities to defeat them when she was hungry and needed to consume the cores. She confirmed she could do all that. Takagi thought to himself that he could use her to find and defeat many slimes, but it would consume the cores, leaving him with zero profit. He was glad she was strong, though. Takagi then asked Sylvie where the slimes were, and she happily said, "Trust me, I will find them." They continued hunting slimes, and Takagi's level increased to level 4. A warning appeared on his screen, stating that Slime Killer grants specialists in slime hunting a 50 increase in all stats while fighting slimes. He was disappointed, thinking, "What's the use of boosted stats for fighting slimes?" Sylvie told him that just having such an ability was amazing, and she was impressed. Takagi replied, "That's enough for today." Sylvie was sad, asking if he would summon her again soon. He promised her, "Yes, I will summon you again." Then he used the card, and she returned to it. The scene then shifts to Hitsugaya, who is astonished, saying, "You collected all these magic cores in one day." Takagi replied, "I was lucky and encountered many slimes. Luck was really on my side." She told him, "You've set a new record for killing slimes in one day. You will be awarded 15,000 yen. The scene then transitions to Takagi in his room, lying on his bed and thinking about Sylvie. He said to himself she was very strong. "We can go down to the second floor together, but I'm afraid of facing the goblins." Takagi dreamed of himself as a child, watching TV and listening to Commander Katsuragi talk about the abyss and how he explored it. Katsuragi said he intended to delve deeper and uncover its secrets and his true identity. He faced the abyss with unbelievable courage and wisdom. Takagi woke up from his dream, feeling very excited. He wanted to go back there and take Sylvie with him. He asked her, "Are you ready?" She replied, "Yes, I'm very excited because this is my first time on the second floor. Let's do our best. We will delve deeper into the next floors and discover the secrets of the abyss. One day I'll become a hero like Commander Katsuragi." Thus ends today's episode of this anime. Stay tuned for the next episode, so don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all the latest updates. The second episode of this anime begins with a boy and a girl exploring the entrances of the abyss. They were amazed and wondered if the dungeons had appeared all over the world. They decided they needed to uncover the truth about these dungeons. It is then revealed that they are part of a special dungeon exploration team, composed of firefighters, police officers, adventurers, fighters, martial artists, hunters, architects, historians, biologists, and more. They are a powerful elite force. As they dealt with some monsters that suddenly appeared, the boy and his sister descended deeper into the abyss. They needed to delve further to uncover the secrets of this massive dungeon. His sister suggested opening the fully explored floor to the public, turning it into an amusement park so many explorers could visit. At that moment, a giant monster attacked them, hitting him hard and knocking him out instantly. His sister quickly administered a small dose of medicine or antidote to help him regain his senses. We then return to the anime's main character, Takagi, and the fairy Sylvie he summoned. Takagi was exhausted, and Sylvie asked him, "Are you all right, my lord? Your face is pale and you're struggling to catch your breath." Takagi replied, "I'm fine," but it was clear he wasn't. His legs were trembling with fear. Sylvie reassured him, holding his hand to calm him down a bit. He thanked her for that. They then descended to the second floor. Takagi told her he had only been here once, 2 years ago, and there were reports of goblins in the area, particularly around the corner. When Sylvie looked to the side, she saw that her master had already run away. However, he suddenly stopped as he remembered his role model, whom he aspired to be like. He slapped himself, trying to motivate himself. They approached the sleeping monster, and when Sylvie was about to defeat it, Takagi stepped in front of her, saying, "I need to strike it myself," though he was trembling with fear. He struck, but hit the ground instead. The monster attacked him, but Takagi evaded it with his shield and knocked it down. As the monster rose to attack, Takagi used an insecticide spray to blind it, then grabbed his staff. This was his only chance to defeat it, but he stumbled on a stone. Luckily, the staff hit the monster's belly, killing it. Sylvie clapped and said, "You were amazing, my lord." But Takagi cried, unable to believe he had killed the monster by himself. He was overjoyed with his victory, and his level increased to level 5. Takagi wondered how killing 1,000 slimes hadn't leveled him up, but defeating this one goblin had. He discovered his new skill, Goblin Slayer, which is granted to those who overcome their fear of dying at the hands of goblins by defeating one alone. This skill increased all his stats by 50 when fighting goblins. However, it was a temporary skill due to the random nature of the victory, reducing its effectiveness. Takagi thought, "I don't know whether to be happy or not, but at least I won. Thank God. Let's continue our journey." At that moment, another monster attacked them, but Sylvie used an ice wall to block it and they defeated it. Another monster attacked, and they took it down as well. Takagi asked Sylvie if they could explore the abyss together. They wandered together until a goblin appeared in front of them. The goblin attacked Takagi, who tried to fend off its blows. Sylvie helped by using her lightning magic, and they managed to defeat the monster. Sylvie then ate the stone that emerged from the goblin to increase her power. Afterward, Takagi went to Hitsugaya to tell her what had happened. Hitsugaya was surprised because it was the first time Takagi had managed to kill such a monster. He told her he had done it and that he had tried to go to the second floor that day, collecting 4 stones during his first visit. Later, we see Takagi at home, lying on his bed. His mother tried to wake him up, but he told her he was very tired and couldn't move. She advised him not to overwork himself and left him to rest a bit longer. After some time, Takagi woke up to go to school. Katsuragi met him and noticed how exhausted he was, suspecting he had gone to the abyss again. She asked him once more, but he kept denying it. She asked why he was so tired, and after thinking for a moment, he told her he had been training hard because he wanted to be like Schwarzenegger. Katsuragi was surprised by his answer, as she never thought that physique would suit him. She chose not to exaggerate the matter and remained silent. When they arrived at school, they saw some girls talking about a new movie being made about the Dan brothers who went to the abyss. This movie was set to be released next summer. Hearing them talk about the abyss made Takagi very nervous. He then told his friends he had managed to kill some goblins in the abyss. They were very surprised, especially since they knew he had only been hunting slimes until recently. His friend couldn't believe it and found it incredibly impressive. Takagi explained that he had pushed himself harder and now felt a bit more confident and motivated. He was considering venturing deeper into the abyss. Takagi then returned to the abyss and met Sylvie there. They decided to continue on this path and give their best effort. Together, they did an excellent job killing many monsters. Takagi returned home to rest and went back to the abyss the next day, continuing to kill monsters while Sylvie kept eating the stones left behind. Then we see Takagi in class, extremely tired and unable to concentrate on any lesson. When Katsuragi sees him in this state, she becomes very worried. Later, Takagi goes to the abyss to continue his battles with the monsters and goblins. As the battles increase, Takagi's strength grows, and he reaches level 10. Takagi notices a significant increase in health points and power points and gains a blessing. This blessing, given to those who work hard, increases the stats gained when left. Takagi realizes this is an incredible skill and is very happy about it. He then understands that this skill is linked to Sylvie, so he treats her with great respect and tells her it is an honor to work with her. Sylvie replies that she is there to serve him. Both are very happy to be working together. Later, Takagi encounters a glowing skeleton. Sylvie tells him it might be a rare monster. Takagi decides to attack it with all his might to kill it. Sylvie uses her magic to help him, but they cannot kill the skeleton with Takagi's tungsten staff. Sylvie then uses another power, a lightning strike, to kill the skeleton. Takagi is thrilled and hopeful because the rare monster dropped a magic core that is somewhat red. Sylvie tries to talk to Takagi, and he understands that she is hungry and wants to eat the magic core from the skeleton. He agrees to give it to her since she used 2 skills that day. Sylvie eats the core happily, but Takagi is worried because it is a valuable core. Takagi speaks to himself, realizing that the core is very precious. The scene then shifts to Hitsugaya, who tells him that the core is worth 1,000,000 yen. If it were a red magic core, its value would be over 2,000,000 yen. She points out that although he lost the core, he found a rare glowing skeleton, which he might encounter again someday. Takagi is shocked and very sad, crying. Because the cores were worth 2,000,000 yen, however, he acknowledges that Sylvie helped him find and defeat many monsters and deserved the reward. He also leveled up, which was a significant achievement. I used to be an ordinary person, but I can go to the 3rd floor. Starting from the 3rd floor, monsters sometimes appear in groups. After that, the scene transitions to Daima's on the 3rd floor, where Takagi is talking to Sylvie, saying, "I will fight for a while." She responds by asking, "Did I do something wrong, or do you not want to help me?" He tells her that he is considering going to the 3rd floor, but at this rate, he will become completely dependent on her. He wants to become stronger so that he is not a burden. Sylvie replies that he will never be a burden to her. "I should have expected you to think this way," she said. He tells her, "I trust you a lot and consider you more like a sister I can rely on rather than a servant, so I will call you Syl." Sylvie is very happy with his words and thanks him because he makes her happy. "I can't believe I have a master who cares about me as much as you do," she says. During their conversation, Sylvie senses a monster approaching them. Takagi tells Sylvie, "Watch this. I will defeat it myself," and he rushes towards the monster. After that, we see Takagi with many injuries on his face and hands. Hitsugaya tells him, "You shouldn't overdo it." Takagi asks her to buy a potion. Takagi sadly says, "I spent a lot of the money I saved. Even low-level potions are expensive, but I was going to the 3rd floor. I want to get more potions and other equipment. I want to store magic cores for Syl to consume." The next day, we see them in Dima's where Takagi kills many monsters, and Sylvie helps him find them. Takagi gathers many magic cores, saying, "I have enough to buy equipment, and you can eat some now." Sylvie tells him that it's time to try the 3rd floor. Sylvie senses something strange nearby, so they go to see what it is. It's a silver slime. Takagi tells her, "Let's start with the old dual attack." Sylvie attacks and uses her power to kill the slime, and a card comes out of it. It's a demon summoning card. Takagi wonders if it is safe to summon a demon. "I will have 2 with me, and summoning them both is a dream of mine," he says. He summons it, and it comes out of the card, and they are very surprised by it. This is how today's episode of this anime ends. Stay tuned for the upcoming episode, so don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to receive all the new updates. Our episode begins with Takagi and Sylvie standing before the girl Luceria. Takagi asks her, "Who are you?" She replies, "I am Luceria, a demon of Viscount rank." Takagi is startled and says to her, "What a stunningly beautiful woman you are." She then asks him, "Are you my master?" He responds, "Yes, I am Takagi Kaito." She remarks that he clearly seems untrustworthy as a master and also stupid. Sylvie interjects, "It's inappropriate to speak to our master in that manner." Luceria asks, "Who is this girl?" Takagi tells her that her name is Sylvie. Luceria looks at Sylvie and comments that she appears to be one of the Valkyrie warriors. Sylvie confirms this, saying she is indeed a Valkyrie and also Takagi's servant, like Luceria. They then greet each other. Luceria extends her hands towards Takagi and tells him she is hungry. Suddenly, Sylvie informs them that there is a slime nearby. Luceria steps forward, uses her flaming spear, unleashes fire, and defeats the slime. Takagi realizes that she has 130 power points. She takes the core that came out of the slime and eats it, then asks for more. Takagi tells her she cannot ask for more without killing more slimes. She calls him a very stingy master. Takagi tells her that if she uses the burning breath spell to kill another monster, he will give her a magic core. Then we see a monster attacking Luceria. She uses her burning breath magic and easily kills the monster. Takagi and Sylvie are amazed by her power. The monster drops a gem and Luceria eats it too. She asks Takagi to go to a deeper area with more monsters, as the cores of stronger monsters taste better. Takagi tells her that once she reaches the 3rd level, monsters will start appearing in groups, so they will need new weapons and other items. He asks her to go tomorrow because she is tired now. She agrees. The next day, they reach the 3rd level, and we see that Takagi has bought a new weapon. Suddenly, hellhounds appear, and as Takagi decides to attack, the dogs see him and quickly charge at him. However, Sylvie uses her protection shield, and Luceria uses her flaming spear to unleash fire on the dogs, defeating them. Luceria then eats the blue core that came out of the dog, and asks Takagi to give her the other core as well since they defeated 2 hellhounds. Takagi refuses and tells her he will give her more once they defeat more monsters. Suddenly, 2 wild boars appear. Luceria uses hellfire, and the boars catch fire but emerge unscathed. Takagi then uses his new weapon to hit one of the boars in the eye, but it doesn't affect it either. As the boar charges at them, Takagi fires another shot from his gun into the boar's eye, killing it. Sylvie tells him he's amazing. Takagi sees on his electronic screen that he has reached level 11. He looks at Luceria and thinks to himself that their spoils were small because Luceria kept asking for more cores. The scene then shifts to Takagi at school with his friends. Takagi remembers overhearing some adventurers talking about reaching the 6th level of Daimas, which is very dangerous. Takagi smiles, and one of his friends asks him why he is laughing and if he has anything to worry about, mentioning that his grades aren't good enough to get into the school he wants. Takagi tells him he hasn't thought about it yet. Then the girl Katsuragi appears and asks if they are talking about the school they want to join. Takagi asks her which school she wants to join. She tells him she wants to get into UK Academy. Takagi says he wants to go there too. One of her friends calls her to help distribute papers. We then see flashbacks of Takagi's adventures with the girls. Luceria was always asking for more cores to eat, while Sylvie always avoided her. Takagi wondered why Sylvie did that. Returning to the present, we see Takagi stepping out of the bathroom. He notices his sister watching an adventure show where the master's servants are fighting over him. Takagi imagines Sylvie and Luceria also fighting and attacking each other. He becomes worried and thinks, "What should I do now?" This is a disaster. His sister asks him if he's okay. Next, we see Takagi walking to school and meeting Katsuragi on the way. She greets him and notices he didn't sleep well last night. She asks what's bothering him, and Takagi explains that Shinji and Hayato have become close to 2 very different girls, and he's trying to find a way for everyone to get along. The scene then shifts to Takagi and Sylvie and Dimas. Sylvie asks where Luceria is. Takagi tells her he wants to talk to her privately about something concerning Luceria and asks for her opinion of her. Sylvie asks what he means. Takagi explains that he feels Sylvie doesn't like Luceria at all and wants to speak openly about it. Sylvie clarifies that it's not like that. At first, she thought Luceria was a bad girl, but then Luceria explained she meant no harm and became kind. Now, Sylvie likes her a lot. Takagi asks if she is worried about anything else since it's very important to him. Sylvie assures him there's nothing else troubling her. Takagi tells her that if anything bothers her, she should let him know immediately. Sylvie then admits there is one thing. She feels that Takagi is too nice to Luceria all the time. Sylvie then tells him that she wishes he would treat her the same way. Takagi responds, "My dear, it's not like that. I treat her normally. Sylvie insists no, you do. Recently, Luceria has been getting more magical cores. Before she came, you used to give me more cores and spend more time talking to me. I want you to talk to me more, not just to Luceria. Takagi is surprised and thinks to himself that she must be jealous of Luceria. He then says, I'm very sorry. From now on, I'll give both of you the same number of cores and also talk to you more. Sylvie is very happy to hear this. From that moment on, Takagi treated both of them equally, but both Sylvie and Luceria were still jealous of each other. Takagi was very careful to encourage both of them so that neither would be upset. At that moment, the wild boar appears again. Sylvie uses her power against it, leveling up significantly. She is very happy and says, this is great. Then they encounter some wild dogs. Takagi tells Sylvie, come on Sylvie, show me your strength now that you've leveled up. She uses her super strike and defeats 3 monsters in one hit. After that, a massive boar attacks her, and she uses her Iron Wall ability, which now lasts much longer after her level up. Takagi then uses his bow and takes down the boar. Takagi gives 2 magical cores to Sylvie and gives nothing to Luceria since she didn't do anything today. Sylvie takes the cores and eats them, looking very pleased. Takagi then notices Luceria looking downcast and asks her what she wants. She says, I'm hungry and want another core. Takagi feels sad. While Sylvie's strength has increased, so has her appetite. Later, Takagi goes to the girl who buys magical cores from him. She asks, what's wrong, Takagi? You've been bringing fewer magical cores lately. He is unable to answer her. Then the scene shifts to the dungeon where Takagi uses lethal insecticide and kills more creatures. This is monster number 25 for him alone. He doesn't want anyone's help so they don't eat his slime seeds, thus finding nothing to sell. We'll support you with cheers. Takagi then goes to the librarian girl who buys from him, and she says, now you only bring slime cores. He decides to return to the first floor. He searches on the computer and wishes to buy a new shield, but finds a full suit of carbon nanotube pipes, which is too expensive at 500,000 yen. Now he needs to lie more to get a lot of money. Then the scene moves to the dungeon. They find a special type of slime, so Seal and Luceria quickly act using their superpowers. When approaching, their leader finds something strange. It's a magic ball. Takagi grabs it and rejoices, saying, I won't sell this. I'll use it on rats. Now I can become a wizard. He strikes it hard on the ground and gains items like Demon Slayer, Divine Blessing, and Water Ball. Then finds that wild dog. Seal uses the Virgin Ice Wall, while her master uses the Water Ball, hitting the dog without harm. The dog attacks strongly, but Luceria uses her power and time and kills it. He says, what happened? Is my magic power so weak? Seal encourages him, saying, no dear, just the ability to use magic is impressive. I'm sure it'll get stronger with practice. It just needs some time. Then the scene shifts to the night when Takagi was sitting in the garden, looking very sad. Then Kitsuragi enters and asks him, why are you sitting at this hour? He replies, magic, weak magic. She asked him, what magic? What kind of magic is this? He was surprised and got up from his seat, saying to her, no, I mean the movie Princess Prison magic. Yes, I watched Princess Prison with my friends. It wasn't as good as I expected. She asked him how that could be, despite its excellent ratings. Takagi was surprised and said, come on, let's go back home. He seemed to be lying a lot, and as they were on their way, she told him she was on her way back from prep school. Then he took her home and left, but she seemed very angry. He stood there and wondered, could she be jealous like Sylvie? No, that couldn't be true. But more importantly, what should he do about that weak spell? I wish I had sold that ball and gotten a lot of money, but I regret it now when it's too late. And thus our episode ends today. Stay tuned for the next episode with a very powerful monster they've never encountered before. But before you go, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the next episode. The episode begins with Takagi using water ball magic slowly to destroy a wall, but it doesn't work, and he feels exhausted. He then uses water ball magic again, but this time quickly and finds it more effective, but he is completely worn out and collapses to the ground and falls asleep. He then remembers the past when he said he would become a hero like the commander when he grows up. We return to the present the next day, where we see everyone in the training grounds, and Takagi tries to use more water ball magic. Everyone sees that his skill has improved and become faster, but he gets tired and falls to the ground. However, he doesn't give up and tries to form a cube from the water ball. Succeeding in that, Sylvie is very happy and encourages him, telling Lucilla that his situation is not entirely hopeless. Then we see Takagi trying to change the shape of the water ball into other forms, succeeding in that but becoming completely exhausted. The scene then shifts to Takagi leaving, visibly tired, and while walking he collapses from exhaustion and sees 3 girls in front of him. One of the girls asks if he is okay as he doesn't look well at all. He tells her he is fine and leaves them and walks away. One of the girls comments that some people are very strange, and Hikari tells them that they should learn from them but need to work hard and try harder. They then decide to go defeat more monsters. The scene shifts to the school, and we see Takagi sleeping in class from exhaustion. The teacher stands in front of him and wakes him up. Takagi wakes up quickly and apologizes profusely. After class ends, Takagi's friends approach him and ask if he has been training. He tells them that there is a very important skill in the training grounds that he needs to learn, and he is working on that during this period, which is why he is completely exhausted. Then Haruka approaches them and asks if he is training in the training grounds, making Takagi very nervous, and he tells her no, he is practicing dancing. The girl tells him not to overexert himself with sports training and hopes to see him dance someday. Then she leaves. The scene then shifts to Takagi in the training grounds, launching a water ball at a monster and defeating it. The girls tell him he is amazing. An electronic screen appears in front of Takagi, and he tells them that his level hasn't increased and he no longer gains experience from the monsters on the 3rd floor. Therefore, he must move to the 4th floor. He talks to himself, saying that if he does so, he will be able to buy the awesome suit he saw online. Suddenly, we see Takagi wearing a new black suit. One of the girls tells him that the suit is silly, which irritates Takagi. He tells her that the suit is expensive, made from carbon nanotubes that will protect his entire body. If he is attacked, it won't affect him, and no arrow can penetrate it. Additionally, the bracelet on his wrist enhances the effectiveness of spells, making his weak spells seem somewhat powerful. Sylvie tells him he is very clever, but Lucilla angrily says he should have tried it first before buying it. They then reach the 4th floor and start searching for monsters. Sylvie mentions that she feels something bad around them. It's very big and sends shivers down her spine. Suddenly, a huge cockroach appears, scaring the girls, and they start casting spells. When Takagi approaches them and asks why they did that, Lucilla tells him that demons are not afraid of insects. Sylvie apologizes profusely for attacking the cockroach and leaving Takagi alone. She tells him she is willing to accept any punishment he imposes on her. Takagi responds that he wasn't angry. Thanks to them, they reached the 5th floor in no time, and they also collected all these cores. When Lucilla sees them, she is disgusted and tells Takagi she won't eat them. But she ends up eating them anyway, despite knowing they will be disgusting. After that, Takagi asks him to go and explore the 5th floor. Then he asks Syl if there are any monsters around them. She pauses for a moment, then tells him there are 2 in that direction. Takagi aims his weapon at them and shoots his arrows, but nothing happens to them. The monsters retaliate, so Syl uses the Iron Wall Maiden spell, creating a barrier to protect Takagi from any attacks since physical attacks are ineffective against the monsters. Takagi then asks for help from Lucilla, who uses the Hellfire Destruction spell to defeat the monsters. Takagi is shocked that Syl and Lucilla were the ones able to kill these monsters. Realizing that if the monsters are immune to physical attacks, he will have to rely entirely on Syl and Lucilla. He asks if they can continue. Lucilla angrily responds that she doesn't want to eat more of those disgusting cores because they taste terrible. He decides to call it a day and continue exploring the training grounds. Syl stands in front of a wall and tells Takagi she feels something strange about the place. Takagi looks at the wall and tells her it looks like an ordinary wall to him. Syl responds that she senses a strange mana coming from inside. Takagi asks Lucilla if she feels the same thing, but Lucilla replies that there is nothing there. Takagi approaches the wall to inspect it, but sees nothing unusual. Syl asks him to leave it to her and uses the lightning strike spell, breaking down the wall to reveal a hidden passageway. Lucilla gets very scared, worried that they might get into trouble for damaging property. Takagi reassures her and asks them to be extremely cautious since it's a hidden area, which might have traps like pressure plates under their feet. Just as Takagi finishes speaking, Lucilla accidentally steps on a pressure plate, triggering an arrow to shoot out from the wall towards her. Takagi rushes to save Lucilla, taking the arrow into his own abdomen. Sil and Lucilla then heal him, and he tells them that hidden training grounds are always full of tricks and they need to watch their steps to avoid any further harm. Before he can finish his sentence, Lucilla accidentally steps on another pressure plate, and another arrow shoots out. Takagi rushes to her, but Sil saves him using an electric shock. They continue to explore the training grounds and come across a door. Sil tells Takagi that she senses something strange coming from behind it. Takagi, feeling anxious, suggests they go home because he thinks they might not be able to handle whatever is behind the door. Sil and Lucilla refuse to go back. Takagi approaches the door to try and open it, but finds it won't open without some kind of key. Sil then asks him to let her handle it. She uses her power to break down the door, hoping no one will ask her to pay for the damages later. They enter a dark room and see very powerful monsters inside. They are unsure of what to do, as they cannot escape. Takagi tells them that they will defeat the ogre first. Sil and Lucilla team up to attack it, but the ogre takes no damage. It then charges at them, and Sil uses her barrier spell to prevent the monster from getting close. Takagi explains to Sil that if magic isn't working, then physical attacks are their only option and they can still win. He draws his weapon to strike, but the ogre hits him instead. However, the barrier protects them from the blows. Lucilla urges Takagi to hurry and defeat the strange creature, as it is resistant to magic and cannot be defeated with spells. Takagi uses his water ball magic against the monster, but the spell freezes, which he thinks might be due to the bracelet. He contemplates that he can use it to his advantage. Sil attacks the ogre as well, but it doesn't seem to affect it. She tells Takagi that the ogre is extremely strong. Takagi responds that he has 3 more shots left and will use up all his mana. He needs to make his attack stronger in another way. He uses his power again, and successfully hits the monster in the eyes and then in the head. Takagi is thrilled as he defeats the ogre, saying that only the slime remains. Next, we see Lucilla fighting the slime. Takagi goes to help her and strikes the slime, then asks Sil to use her divine spear, Rejonen, while he slows the slime down. Sil attacks the slime with the spear and kills it. Takagi looks at the slime and sees that its health points aren't decreasing. He wants to flee but remembers Commander Katsuragi's words and tells himself that they can't give up and that he will become a hero. He rushes to the slime and uses his bottles on it, but they run out before the slime dies. He retrieves more bottles and sprays them on the slime, causing its health points to drop and eventually defeating it. They are overjoyed with their success, and Takagi and Lucilla level up. Takagi notes that he is now ranked among the dedicated explorers. Sil asks him to collect the magical cores. Takagi finds a rare red magical core, which is very valuable and could sell for a high price. He also discovers a magical sword, which is a rare item as well. The scene shifts to Eren, who asks about the red magical core and where he found it. Takagi replies that he found a hidden training ground on the 5th floor and defeated a monster that resembled a boss inside. Eren tells him that she will have someone verify it and that this is a rare magical core, so they can offer him a high price for it. She also asks if he wants to participate in an event taking place next week, where explorers will form teams to investigate the 7th floor and spend some time together. Takagi agrees to participate. We then see Takagi at school talking to his friends, saying that he is currently securing the 6th floor so he can attend the event. He explains that once he secures the 6th floor, he can teleport directly there from the entrance, which is why he is determined to achieve this. He mentions that it will be his first time teaming up with someone other than them. A girl comes up and asks if this is a dance team. His friends are surprised, and one of them replies that he hopes to have her join them someday. The girl responds that she wants to be invited when they go and leaves. Takagi then says he needs to take dance lessons. Later, Takagi arrives at the event location and is amazed by the large crowd. Eren speaks to him, saying that he is now part of their team, and they start introducing themselves to each other. The episode ends here. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes, and don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates. The episode begins with Haruka and her father early in the morning when she was young. Her father was going to work, and she asked him to come home as soon as possible. He promised her that he would come home at night, and they would have dinner together. Then we shift to Haruka as an adult, waking up in the morning to go to school. Her mother asked if she was going to see Yumi, and Haruka replied that they would be studying together that day. As Haruka leaves the house, she thinks about Takagi, wondering if he has dance training today or if he is training at the gym. Next, we see Takagi with his friends Eri, Hikarin, and Moriyama forming a team, ready to enter the Daimas and explore it. They take the teleportation gate to the 6th floor. Takagi was very nervous because it was his second time using the teleportation gate. The first time was the other day when he returned to the roof. Eri told him that she was nervous too. While they were wandering, a guard stopped them and told them that the stairs to the 7th floor were this way. The event was scheduled to last 3 hours. Eri asked her friends if they wanted to buy anything before going down, as there was a small shop next to the teleportation gate, which was very convenient. Takagi replied that he had brought a lot of stuff, unlike them, who didn't have enough equipment. Eri responded that they had this magic bag where they put everything they owned. Hikarin added that she also had one, and Moriyama said she had one too. Takagi was amazed because one could buy an apartment for the price of these things. They explained that their parents had bought them these bags. Takagi was even more surprised to learn they all came from wealthy families. Eri then commented that he seemed to have a lot of equipment too. Takagi replied that he had been collecting things here and there since he was young, and now he could finally buy things after putting in a lot of effort selling nuts. Then, Eri pulls out her long sword from the magic bag, and everyone heads to the 7th floor. As they wander on the 7th floor, Takagi asks about the monsters that appear there. Hikarin responds that she thinks there are goblins here. Suddenly, they see people approaching from afar and assume they are goblins, but it turns out they are janitors who maintain the cleanliness of the Daimas. Takagi and his friends greet them. Afterward, Takagi asks them about their combat levels. Eri replies that she is at level 18. Hikarin is at level 15, and Moriyama is also at level 15. But Hikarin has 75 mana points. Takagi is shocked because that's double what he has. Suddenly, a goblin forms in front of them from scattered stones. Eri decides to take the lead and positions herself in front, asking Hikarin to prepare to cast spells, while Miko protects Hikarin. Takagi asks what he should do, and Eri tells him that he will protect quickly. Eri charges at the monster to fight it, continuously delivering powerful blows that don't seem to affect it. On the final strike, she cuts the goblin in half, surprising Takagi with her strength, as he couldn't even get close to it. Hikarin is very happy about her friend's strength. After that, a new enemy appears, a bronze goblin. Hikarin uses her fire spells, and Miko summons her small cat-like monster companion to attack the goblin, but these attacks don't affect it. Eri gets worried and looks towards Hikarin, who is still casting spells. Suddenly, Hikarin hits the goblin with a massive fireball, causing it to melt and die. Takagi is thrilled with his friend's power and tells them they are truly amazing. Suddenly, another goblin, made of iron, appears behind Moriyama and Hikarin. Takagi shoots it with his arrows. But it's a very strong goblin. Eri rushes towards it with all her strength to strike it with her large sword, but it has no effect. Hikarin then casts a lightning spell at it, but it also does nothing. Moriyama sends her pet, Snatch, to attack it, but the goblin strikes Snatch, knocking it to the ground. Seeing what's happening, Takagi decides to summon C and Luceria, but before doing so, he decides to try hitting the goblin with a small dagger. If it doesn't work, he'll summon them. Hikarin then uses the Earth Wave, while Takagi approaches the goblin to distract it. He gets close and stabs the goblin in the belly with the dagger, killing it instantly. Takagi is very happy with what happened because this is the magical sword called Zarad. Afterward, Takagi and his friends leave the Daimas and sit in a place where Takagi tells them about the sword. Eri comments that she thought it was a steak knife. Takagi explains that he got it as loot from a monster, and this was the first time he used it, so he's very happy at work. Hikarin tells him it was amazing, and she is pleased to know that they can find magical swords as loot from monsters. Then Takagi talks with Moriyama, telling her he's very glad that Snatch is okay and nothing happened to him. She asks him to call her Nico, to which Takagi agrees, mentioning that it's the first time he's seen a companion animal in his life. Miko responds that he hasn't seen one before because servants don't appear on camera, surprising Takagi. Eri then explains that this is why he hasn't seen any pictures or videos of them before. Takagi realizes why the guild employees didn't comment on C and Luceria, which means they are the only ones who know about Snatch. Miko then tells him she got snatched at an auction and registered him with the guild, so everyone knows about him. Then Miko talks with Hikarin, giving her a medal and telling her that they should put the items they received in their magical bags. Then Eri addresses Takagi, telling him that she talked with Miko and Hikarin, and they all want him to join their team. There are teleportation gates every 5 floors, so their next goal is to reach the second gate located on the 11th floor. Why don't we try together? Takagi responds, but then adds, unlike you, I'm just an ordinary explorer and a secondary character. Eri replies, there's no harm in that. It's not bad to be normal, and we feel safe with you since you're not in a party with anyone else. Takagi responds, they're not ordinary people. They're more like demons. Then he thinks to himself that if people think he's hanging out with 2 little girls, he might get arrested. He tells them he needs some time to think. I'll give you my answer after I talk to someone about it, he says. Eri tells him to let them know when he has an answer. Takagi then goes to the dimes with the girls, and they seem very angry. He asks them, are you in a bad mood? Seal responds, do you want to form a party after abandoning us? You didn't summon us today because you didn't have school. She continues, you should have summoned us this morning. He replies, saying he has his own schedule to follow. Seal retorts, I think we'll be fine if we continue this way. There's no need to increase our numbers. Luceria gets upset when he calls her like that, and he tries to choose a specific name for her, but she refuses. The scene then shifts to Haruka talking to Takagi, asking, did you have dance practice last weekend, or were you training at the gym? He replies, yes, it's possible to do both. She asks if he's free because she wants to go shopping with him. The next day, Takagi goes to meet Haruka, and they go shopping together. On their way, Takagi sees adventurers on TV and looks at them with admiration as they talk about magical seeds, focusing intently. Haruka asks if he's interested in Dumas, and he should forget about them today because he's with her. On their way, Haruka mentions, how long has it been since we went out together? He replies, when we were little, your dad took us everywhere. She says, yes, so let's go watch a movie together. Afterward, they go to a clothing store, and Haruka picks out clothes. Takagi likes everything she wears. Haruka is happy with Takagi's behavior and wants him to choose something for her to buy, which she does. Haruka is very happy and enjoying her time out with Takagi. She then asks him if they can ride the boat, and Takagi is delighted to be with Haruka, hardly believing she's with him. She comments that he seems more fit, possibly due to all the dance and strength training. He replies, yes, it's all thanks to dance and strength training, of course. Then, they go to the train station and Haruka asks Takagi if she can take him to a place she loves. Takagi agrees and they go to this place together. He mentions that a show should start soon and there will be fireworks at night. Haruka then asks about Dimas, wondering if it's near that building because her father is down below. Takagi replies yes. She tells him that her father is down below and once promised her they would have dinner together, but he hasn't come back yet. She said sadly that people haven't entered Dimas. Haruka expresses how much she enjoyed the day and suggests they head home. Takagi thinks to himself, I know you're worried about me, but I want to become a hero like Captain Katsuragi someday. I want to prove it to you. And that's how today's episode of the anime ends. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes, so don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to get all the latest updates. This anime episode begins with Kaito attempting to kill a monster. He uses his power to fix a water ball onto Blizzard's blade, then charges at the monster at great speed and kills it. Cell and Luz are impressed with him because he has become incredibly strong. Seal then talks to him, reminding him that he once said he wanted to join a party. She asks if he would really do so if 3 women invited him to join their party. Kaito responds that he would, of course. Cell then asks him to let them know if they are falling short in any way, but Kaito tells her that it has nothing to do with them. Luz interrupts angrily, accusing him of lying and saying that he no longer wants to feed them magical cores. Kaito asks her to calm down, assuring her that he will not join any party and will continue to feed them the magical cores. Cell responds that she will respect his decision and that he can join any party he wants as long as he doesn't forget their magical. However, before he does anything, they want him to explain why he would join a party with people other than them. Kaito replies that he wants to improve his skills by joining them. Otherwise, he will remain the same. Cell tells him that she believes his efforts are truly commendable. Kaito thanks her for the kind words and tells her that he will join the party only on weekends and will not summon them then. The two girls agree to this. At night, when Kaito goes to bed, Haruka calls him because she wants to talk to him a little. She asks if he knows any tricks to get rid of nervousness since Shinji and Hayato want to call two girls, but are extremely nervous and need his help. Haruka then recalls a time when she was young and standing on a stage to play the piano. Her father came to encourage her, telling her that he bet she would win that night, and that there was no need to be nervous as it wouldn't help at all, and she should just laugh. She shares this memory with Kaito, explaining how her father taught her this trick. Kaito is surprised and agrees to try it, feeling confident that it will work. After that, the call ends. Then the scene shifts to Eri, who is training alone in combat. Kaito calls her on her phone, and Eri tells him that she has been waiting for his call. He asks her about joining their party, and she tells him that she agrees to let him join, but only on weekends. Eri agrees to this, and mentions that they have classes most days, so they usually attack the dimas only on weekends. They agree to meet at the guild at 10 a.m. next Saturday. Next, we see Kaito with Eri, Miko, and Hikari preparing to fight the monsters. Kaito decides to handle the two on the left while the girls fight the two on the right. He asks Hikari to use Earth Wave and tells Miko to ask Snatch to keep it under control. The girls follow his instructions. Kaito rushes towards the monsters at great speed and defeats them with a single powerful strike. The girls also manage to kill the monsters in front of them. After the battle, Kaito talks to Hikari, telling her that her spell merged with this magical item to create his ice blade. Eri comments that the ice blade was really impressive. Kaito thanks her and compliments her on her excellent moves. She responds that she has been training in these moves since she was young, and they have become like a part of her body. They all decide to go for lunch, and Kaito returns home. Kaito then recalls how they used to sit together to eat a variety of foods, and how they asked him to reach the 8th floor the next day. The next day, we see them heading to the 8th floor. Kaito is wearing a life jacket, and Hikari asks him about it. He explains that water monsters appear on the 8th floor, and that he heard some areas are flooded, so he came prepared. Eri understands why he also brought the magical core gun. Kaito adds that this is not an ordinary life jacket, but a limited edition item that is resistant to magical attacks, though it was a bit expensive for him. Then everyone reaches the 8th floor, and Snatch scouts the area to ensure there are no monsters. Suddenly, Snatch stops, and a monster emerges from the water. The monster grabs Kaito's life jacket and takes it from him. Kaito yells at the monster to give it back, as it represents his hard work, time, and money, but the monster doesn't respond. Miko uses her power to kill the monster in seconds. Kaito thanks her for her help, acknowledging that she used a new gun she had never used before, but still managed to hit her target. Suddenly, many more monsters appear, and they kill them all. After that, a lot of fish emerge from the small lake, and they kill them as well. Kaito uses his magic to kill many of the fish, his strength doubling and making him stronger than before. However, Kaito becomes very exhausted from all the work and loses consciousness. The girls rescue him. When Kaito opens his eyes, he asks them what happened. The girls tell him to rest and not worry about anything. When Kaito looks at his skill list, he finds that his mana points have returned. Eri tells him that they knew they might have crossed a line, but they used a large magic potion. Kaito apologizes for them using something so valuable, but Eri reassures him that they are one party, and party members must help each other. Besides, they obtained a huge amount of magical cores from defeating all those tuna. Kaito tells her that he was inspired by her fighting style. At that moment, a huge dinosaur-like monster suddenly appears. Kaito becomes very nervous because he thought dinosaurs only appeared on deeper floors. He believes they should retreat now, and everyone runs away to avoid getting hurt. However, they can't escape any further, so they decide to fight the monster. Kaito asks Miko to use Snatch for long-range attacks, Hikari to use magic to immobilize the monster, and Eri to attack the monster to distract it. Everyone follows his instructions, but they can't kill the monster as no one can inflict significant damage. Eri then charges at the monster and delivers a very powerful strike. The dinosaur throws Eri far away into the water. Kaito rushes to check on her and finds her unconscious. He thinks to himself that he should summon Luz and Cell, deciding that he will join them on weekends and won't summon them at that time. The girls are terrified of the dinosaur, and Kaito, feeling sad for them, says there's no time to hesitate. He summons Cell and Luz. When they finally appear, Kaito apologizes to them and asks them to defeat the monster. Cell says the monster will pay for attacking Kaito. Using their combined magic, Luz casts Hellfire, burning the dinosaur. Afterward, Luz goes to check on Kaito, asking if he's unharmed. Miko runs to Cell, hugging her and saying how nice they are, thanking her for saving them and asking if she's an angel. Hikari talks to Luz, commenting that judging by her appearance, she must be a demon and that her black hair is precious and she'd like to touch it. Luz agrees, and Hikari touches her hair, saying it's very soft. Kaito then explains that they are his maids. Miko suggests that since they are all friends, they should go take a bath together. Eri thinks it's a great idea. In the bath, Eri mentions she didn't know Kaito had such wonderful maids. Miko and Cell become friends, but Luz initially doesn't want to be friends with Hikari. Eventually, Luz agrees. Eri thanks them for saving them. After that, Eri bids farewell to the girls, Hikari and Miko. Kaito mentions that Hikari is close to her parents. Eri responds that her parents always come to pick her up. Kaito recalls Eri saying she wanted to be a hero and asks her about it. Eri explains that she wanted to become a hero since she was young. She shares a story from her childhood and says she wants to be strong so she can protect those she loves from injustice and oppression, praising those who can do that as heroes. Heroes understand the true meaning of strength. Returning to the present, Eri says that's why she became a dungeon explorer. She adds that her university is hosting an event to introduce the campus over the weekend and invites Kaito, mentioning she studies at OK Academy. Kaito is surprised and says he didn't know she was in university. After that, Kaito sits with his friends. One of his friends says to him, an event to introduce the campus at OK Academy. Shouldn't you invite someone who wants to go there? And he looks at Katsuragi. Kaito replies that he can't do that and mentions they went shopping together instead. Then a girl comes over and asks if they were talking about Haruka. Kaito's friend responds by saying that Kaito wants to talk to Katsuragi. Kaito thinks to himself about Eri's invitation to the OK Academy event. Katsuragi then asks, "Are you going to the campus introduction event? I was thinking of going myself and I want to go with you." She recalls that they both want to enroll in the same school. Kaito agrees to her request. All their friends decide to join them and go together. But Katsuragi's friend apologizes as she is busy over the weekend. The next day, Kaito waits, and Katsuragi comes out of her house. He is amazed by her beauty, and they leave together. This is how today's episode of this anime ends. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes, and don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you won't miss anything new. Our episode begins with Takagi meeting Katsuragi as they ride the metro together. She asks him, "Why don't you sit next to me?" Takagi seems quite shy, and she thanks him for inviting her today, expressing how happy she is to be going with him. He then drifts off into his thoughts, imagining that it's like they're on a date. He quickly shakes his head and tells himself, don't get carried away. Stay focused. He reminds himself that Katsuragi doesn't see it that way. They're just going to the academy. They encounter two boys who ask them, "Are you going to OK Academy? Or are you interested in other academies?" One of them responds, "Come on, man, don't be silly. We're just here for the open day and to see a lot of girls. But don't worry, we won't bother you two." Katsuragi then looks at Takagi and says, "It's Saturday. So are you sad you're not at Dimas today?" He replies, "Not at all. I'm not sad at all. I can't imagine a better Saturday than spending it with you at an open day like this." The girl is delighted by his words and tells him to forget about Dimas for today. They finally arrive at the academy, which appears to be for the upper class, those with money. Everyone is amazed as it looks like a foreign castle. Katsuragi tells them, "Come on. There should be a reception desk inside." They walk through the large, beautiful trees while Takagi daydreams, imagining that they're walking through tall trees with her ahead of him. He calls out, "Wait, Katsu." Then reality hits and Katsuragi looks at him curiously, asking, "Wait for what, Takagi?" He quickly replies, "Oh, nothing," and thinks to himself that it's too early to be daydreaming. He then slaps himself awake, reminding himself to study hard so he can get into this academy and not get lost in his dreams, even if they are together right now. He keeps slapping himself several times. While Katsuragi watches him, Puzzled by his strange act, finally they all head over to Era-san, who welcomes them warmly, hoping they can speak openly today. Then his friends introduce themselves. The boy with yellow hair says his name is Ayato, while the other one introduces himself as Oyama Shinji. They are both very happy to meet each other. Eri asks Takagi if Katsuragi is his girlfriend, to which he quickly replies, "No, we're just childhood neighbors, and we're always together. Her name is Katsu." After that, they excuse themselves and leave to take a tour of the place. As they enter, Takagi suggests, "Let's start from here." His friends immediately tease him, saying, "You started quite close to Era. How do you know that beautiful lady?" Takagi explains that he met her at Daima's before. When he mentions Daima's, he becomes flustered, realizing his slip of the tongue, and quickly adds that she was the one who told him about the open day. His friends apologize for putting him in that awkward situation, and they pull him aside for a small chat. In private, they ask him if Eri is the one he formed a group with. He confirms that she is, and they become envious, remarking how lucky he is to meet such a beautiful girl. One of his friends dramatically puts his hands on his head, saying, oh no, I want to meet a beautiful girl like that too. Should we also return to exploring Daima's to see more beautiful girls? They give him a final piece of advice, urging him to be very careful around Katsuragi since she cares about him and loves him. They then enter a large hall, where it seems the students can attend classes via tablets, showing how advanced the school is. Takagi notices a device that looks like an automated external defibrillator and comments that it reminds him of the equipment in Daima's, but before he can finish the word Daima's, his friends quickly cover his mouth, preventing him from revealing more. Katsuragi turns around, curious, but his friends quickly reassure her that Takagi didn't say anything. They then head outside and sit in a beautiful garden. They are amazed by the place, noting that they had never seen anything like it before. It's a place worth exploring and enjoying. However, they realize that their grades might not be high enough to get accepted. So they need to study hard and attend all their classes to be eligible to apply to this academy. They ask Takagi, but the fees here are very expensive. Will your father pay that amount? Takagi, nearly slipping up again, starts to say that he'll pay it through explorations in Daima's, but quickly corrects himself, saying instead that he'll look for a part-time job if he needs more money. After about 10 minutes, two girls, Miyoko and Hikari, arrive. They came specifically to see Takagi because they heard from Eri at the reception that he was there with his friends. So they decided to drop by and say hello. Takagi stands up and says, "Everyone, allow me to introduce you. This is Mizutani, and the other is Obama Shinji." As everyone introduces themselves, Miyoko asks Katsuragi, "Are you his girlfriend?" Takagi quickly intervenes, saying, "She's not my girlfriend. We're just neighbors and childhood friends." Katsuragi then steps closer to the girls and asks, "It seems like you two know each other well." The girls respond, "Yes, we really do know him," which makes Takagi feel terrified that his secret might be exposed. The girls then mention that they know him from Daima's, causing Takagi and his friends to be shocked. Takagi's face turns pale and he becomes extremely nervous. At that moment, Eri arrives and notices the group gathered together. She invites them all to lunch, treating them on her behalf. Everyone thanks her, and Takagi is relieved that he managed to escape the situation despite sweating profusely, even though it's November. They head to lunch, and everyone starts taking pictures of the food, as it seems they're seeing such dishes for the first time. Era tells them order more if you need it, and drink refills are free. After finishing their meal, Katsuragi and Takagi go to get drinks, while the others start talking about a strict coach named Wangara. They also discuss Daima's and how they've been defeating monsters, even imitating the coach's stern way of speaking. One of the girls then recalls how the coach scolded her during a first aid class. Hayato mentions, since we attended all the classes with Kaito, we have our licenses, but we don't actually explore Daima's. The lectures were so long that Shinji kept falling asleep. Shinji replies, "You were sleeping a lot." Hayato continues saying, "We didn't know that the elements used in Daima's lose their effectiveness more than 3 kilometers from the entrance. I tripped and hurt myself during a physical education class and tried to heal myself with a therapeutic dose, but I wasted it." The girls smile and Eri explains. That's why the park was built within a 3-kilometer radius around the entrance to Daima's, and all research and production of elements and therapeutic doses are conducted within that area. Shinji then comments, "That's right. I once got stopped by security for trying to take weapons out of the demon zone, which is completely prohibited. We almost got arrested. Eri chimes in, there are so many rules to follow, and she begins to list them all, noting how it's hard work. The guys agree, saying, but spending time in the park is fun. There are so many beautiful spots, and it's a major tourist attraction. No matter how many times we go there, we never get tired of it. Eri smiles and says, you're right. The Dimas Park is impressively managed. I even wrote a report about it for class once. At that moment, Kaito and his girlfriend walk in carrying drinks, which they hand out to their friends. They all enjoy a great time together. The scene then shifts to Kaito and his girlfriend walking along a path. He shows her something on his phone, a lecture about an interesting topic. They continue walking and come across a swimming pool. Kaito mentions the pool is warm even in winter, so you can swim in it anytime. This reminds me of the good old days when we were kids. You saved me when I was drowning in the school pool, and you also rescued me when that stray dog attacked. Just then, the other girls arrive, and one of them says, we knew Kaito wasn't good at swimming. Era shows up with the rest of the boys, all excited because the Christmas festival is about to begin. They head down a staircase, with Eri leading the way. She tells them, we have 6 tennis courts, and this is the football field. Suddenly, their friend Hikari slips, but Kaito manages to catch her just in time, carrying her in his arms to ensure she's okay. Hikari thanks him profusely, saying she's fine now. The others are amazed by Kaito's quick and daring move to save her. Miyoko, feeling a bit jealous, asks, how long are you going to keep holding her? Put her down now. Kaito immediately sets Hikari on the ground, and she thanks everyone for their concern. Just then, a ball comes flying out of the football field towards the group. Eri tries to stop it, but can't. The ball is now heading straight for Miyoko with great force. She covers her face, unable to deflect it, but just at the right moment, Kaito leaps into the air with an incredible move, kicking the ball away from Miyoko and saving her. To everyone's surprise, the ball flies into the net, scoring a goal. They all rush to check on Miyoko, but she's lost in thought, amazed at how Kaito pulled off such a legendary move. Kaito smiles and says, I'm glad you're not hurt. All their friends are astonished by Kaito's acrobatic skills and wonder how he learned such amazing techniques. Afterward, Eri tells them, we've seen most parts of the school now, so let's visit the training hall. They all agree and head to the hall, where Eri starts demonstrating some impressive moves with a staff. Everyone cheers and applauds her, and she beams with happiness. As the day comes to an end and the sun sets, they exchange phone numbers so they can stay in touch and meet up again. Eri says, if you have any questions about OK Academy, don't hesitate to ask. You can ask us anything else too. They all thank her sincerely, feeling very happy. Eri shakes hands with her friend Kaito, grateful for spending time together as friends today. They bid each other farewell and go their separate ways. Later, we see the friends riding the train, excitedly talking about OK Academy. Kaito comments it's a beautiful school, and the boys chat about the amazing day they had together. In the evening, Kaito is with his girlfriend, and he tells her, I'm going to study hard so we can both get into OK Academy. She responds, I will too, my friend. But I want to ask you something. Kaito, who is your favorite girl among those with us today? Kaito gets flustered and says, I haven't thought about it. Anyway, the one I like is... Then he hesitates and says, I'll tell you someday who I prefer and love. Katsuragi then says, you seemed really close with the girls today before leaving for home, clearly upset. The scene shifts to Kaito at home, taking a hot bath, pondering his girlfriend's reaction and wondering if she's jealous. He thinks about how to explain the situation to Cell and Lus, realizing they must be really mad at him for ignoring them all day. And that's where today's episode ends. Stay tuned for more exciting episodes of this amazing anime. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any up. Today's episode begins with Kaito alongside Seal and Lus as they were killing monsters. After Kaito finished the battle, Lus asked him about what he did with Eri and the others when he abandoned them yesterday. He replied that he had just gone to visit the school. Lus didn't understand what he meant, so Seal explained that a school is where humans study. They realized that he has a life outside the dungeons, but they didn't want him to leave them. Kaito apologized to them and then told them he would give each of them 3 magic cores, hoping to cheer them up. However, they refused this offer because they wanted more and more stones. At that moment, Kaito spotted a very rare slime. He asked the girls to look behind them to see what was happening. They turned around, found the slime, and killed it with ease. Kaito then increased his offer, promising to give each of them 10 stones. Afterwards, he found a glove, and when he examined it on the skill screen, he discovered it was called the Mind Gloves. Through these gloves, a person can obtain invisible power at the cost of mana points. Kaito attempted to use these gloves on water but failed because the power is hidden. He thought that this power might work on humans, but he doubted it would affect monsters. He pondered for a while on how to unveil this power. He then grabs the knife and strikes towards the sea, successfully activating the power. Kaito is overjoyed because he had always dreamed of splitting water in this way. Sil tells him that it looks like he's controlling ice. At that moment, Eri and her friends appear, and they start talking to Kaito. He tells them that he was very happy working with them yesterday and that he wants to work with them again now, but he has to study. Eri then offers to teach him everything he needs. Kaito asks if Katsuragi can join them, and Eri agrees. Mikey also asks to join them. When Sil and Lust see this, they become very jealous of Kaito, because he has grown so close to these girls. Kaito tries to talk to them, but he doesn't understand what's wrong. When he asks them, they refuse to answer. He ends up giving them lots of magic cores to get them to respond. After that, everyone sets off to explore the dungeons. Sil speaks to Kaito and tells him that there is some very bad news. A strong enemy is ahead. Kaito becomes very nervous, unsure of what to do. Mikey tells him that they have no choice but to move forward as that is their only option. Sil becomes frightened because she thinks they won't be able to overcome this monster. Lust responded confidently, saying she would defeat them instead of everyone else. However, Eri interrupted and suggested that they think of a way to escape from the situation. Everyone hid, and when Kaito peeked out from behind the rocks, he saw Orthrus. They were puzzled, as Orthrus wasn't supposed to appear on this floor. Kaito spoke to Eri and asked everyone to return to their positions. They all gathered in a circle, and then Sil used her power to create a barrier between them and the monster. Orthrus attacked them with its flames, but the barrier remained unaffected. Eri decided to strike first using magic core weapons, so Hikari cast the Earth Wave spell. At the same time, Kaito asked Lust to unleash the devastating hellfire, which she did, but the monster was unaffected because it was resistant to fire. The monster then launched its flames at the barrier, and the heat began to penetrate it. Lust followed up with a powerful strike on the monster, and Mikey continued the assault. Kaito then ordered Snatch to attack the monster as well, but none of their efforts seemed to have any effect. Seal asked Kaito what they should do, and after thinking for a moment, Kaito dashed toward the monster, telling Luz that he would act as bait. He instructed her to target the monster's stomach with hellfire while it was distracted. Luz quickly moved closer to its belly and unleashed the hellfire. But even this wasn't enough. Kaito then asked Seal to use the sacred Rajanat spear. After that, he instructed Luz to follow up Sil's attack with more hellfire. Luz and Sil worked together, and everyone continued trying to strike the monster, but nothing seemed to affect it. Eventually, Eri rushed toward the monster and tried to attack it with everyone's help. Finally, the monster died and vanished from the area. Everyone was thrilled that they had managed to work together and defeat it. Kaito encouraged them to continue and make more progress, but Mikey suggested they take a break since they were all exhausted. At that moment, a demon appeared, and everyone was terrified of him. Eri wondered why a demon was on the surface and thought that perhaps he was the one leading Orthrus. The demon spoke to them, warning them not to think about escaping, as he wouldn't let them. He said that he had initially considered leaving them alone, but he had changed his mind. Now everyone would die. The demon attacked the barrier with his power, but nothing happened to it. Kaito became very nervous because the demon's attack was so fast that he didn't see it. He then asked Sil to check if the Iron Wall Maiden had fallen, and everyone continued trying to help each other, but nothing seemed to affect the demon. Kaito decided to ask Sil to attack again, but Eri refused, warning that the demon's attacks were too fast for them to handle. Kaito then told everyone to get as far away as possible. As they unleashed a barrage of fire, both Luzul and Sil used their powers against the demon. But it had no effect. The demon taunted them, saying, "Is this all you've got?" He then attacked Kaito, but Eri intercepted the blow, only to be struck by the demon and thrown aside. Kaito tried to strike the demon with his sword, but the demon blocked the attack and broke Kaito's sword, enraging him. Luzul and Sil were also furious with the demon for harming Kaito, so they unleashed their powers on the demon. But it still wasn't enough. Kaito, still in pain but able to move, realized he needed to act quickly. He asked Hikari to distract the demon, allowing him to approach from behind and stab it in the back with a knife. However, the attack had no effect on the demon, who used a spell to heal himself before launching another assault on Kaito. Eri once again stepped in to defend him while Sil tried to attack the demon, but nothing seemed to work. Lucille then urged Kaito and the others to escape, but Kaito refused, determined to help Lucille and find a way to defeat the demon. He thought to himself, I can't run away and abandon them. How can I defeat him? Kaito noticed that the demon's stats temporarily increased by consuming the target's health points. He asked Lucille to use her gluttonous beauty ability. She warned him that if she used it, it would drain his life force and he could die. Kaito replied, but I trust you completely. Lucille then transformed, consuming Kaito's life force to reveal her true form. Kaito was astonished, exclaiming, "You're so big!" She responded, "Yes, I've regained my stats through gluttonous beauty. I haven't fully recovered, but this should be more than enough to deal with this demon." The demon, surprised, asked her, "Who are you? You weren't here before." She replied, "I'm the one who will kill you now." Enraged, the demon attacked her, but his attacks had no effect. Lucille calmly stated, "Attacks from low-ranking demons like you are ineffective against me. I am Lucille, a demoness of Viscount rank. You will pay for hurting my friends." She then used her magic on the demon, finally defeating him in an instant. Kaito was amazed by her power and said, "I can't hold on any longer. Please cancel the gluttonous beauty quickly." Lucille responded playfully, "But I've finally become big again. What do you think of me as an adult? I'm very elegant, aren't I?" Kaito, desperate, replied, "This isn't the time for that. You're so elegant you might kill me. Please hurry up and I'll do anything you want." Finally, Lucille returned to her smaller form and Kaito sighed in relief, saying, "I've finally survived. I need to value my life more." Afterward, they were sitting together on the ground, and Kaito was happy to find that he had gained 8 health points and a new skill. He said, "Now I'll be able to handle gluttonous beauty better." Lucille replied, "I won't be in such a hurry next time." Eri then remarked, "It seems our levels have increased a lot as well." Kaito responded, "I guess that's to be expected after fighting for our lives. I'm going to check our loot." Kaito found Orthrus's magic core and was amazed, saying, "I've never seen one before. It's the biggest core we've ever come across." He also found a card, which was the servant card of the demon they had just defeated. He asked them, "What should we do with this?" Eri told him, "You and Lust dealt the final blow. Do whatever you like," Kaito hesitated, saying, "But he's a demon like Lust. It might be pointless to summon them both." Lucille reassured him, "He's not like that low-ranking demon. It won't be the same." Kaito was astonished to learn that the demon was of a lower rank, despite being so powerful. However, he didn't want to sell him. Kaito then summoned the demon Belia. The small demon appeared in response to his call. Kaito, surprised by Belia's size, asked, "Why are you so small?" Belia replied, "I think it's because my level is low." Kaito, disappointed, said, "Cancel. I'll sell you anyway." But then Kaito realized, "I knew I couldn't summon him just for a test. Why did I do it?" Belia, pleading, asked Kaito not to abandon him, saying he wanted to stay with him forever. Kaito reassured him, "I won't abandon you. We'll be friends." The girls overheard their conversation, and Lucille remarked that they had already become friends. The scene then shifts to a teacher, who asks them where they got the item. They replied that they found it on the 9th floor from a monster called Orthrus. The teacher expressed surprise at Orthrus appearing on the 9th floor and informed them that she would send a team to investigate immediately. She offered to pay them 24 million for the Orthrus core. Kaito was shocked by the amount and was asked if he wanted the money deposited into his account. He replied, "No, I want you to divide it into 4 equal parts." Hikari and Eri told him they didn't mind if he kept all the money, but Kaito insisted that's impossible. "We defeated it together, so we'll split it equally." The teacher also informed them that they could provide documents for their tax declarations whenever they needed them. Later, they went to a restaurant and Kaito apologized to Eri for asking her to explain tax filing while she was so. Eri asked him what he wanted to know, and the first thing she mentioned was the importance of keeping expense records. She explained that travel costs, new equipment, medical fees, and explorer insurance could all be deducted as expenses, and that he should keep the receipts. Kaito thanked her for all the information. Eri mentioned that they had had a very tough day together. She found it hard to believe that they had defeated the demon in Orthrus and noted how special things seemed to be drawn to Kaito. After bidding farewell to Hikari, Kaito reflected on how he now had 3 servant cards and couldn't believe it, thinking it was almost impossible. And with that, today's episode of the anime ends. Stay tuned for the upcoming episodes and don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss anything new. The scene then cuts to Hikari and Mika talking on the phone. Hikari says she is excited about the raid this coming weekend and tells her not to push herself too hard and to take some time off. She is excited to see everyone's new skills. As Hikari tells her, she will be fine if she wants to rest. She doesn't want to waste time. She tells her that she will see her over the weekend, and then she hangs up the phone. The tough girl act ends, and Hikari starts to cough. The next scene is of Kaido and his friends in the dungeon on the weekend. Kaido asks Bia to show them how powerful he is. When Bia asks him to give her a weapon first, Kaido is surprised that he doesn't have one himself, but Lyra reminds him that he broke Bia's weapon. Kaido then looks through his bag for something and pulls out the tungsten rod. Before, he bought something and gave it to Bia, telling him he could use it. This Bia doesn't want to take it, so he asks for a weapon that looks more like a sword. Luera and I think that he is being rude to their master when they hear this. They both say sorry, but Kaido tells them that this is all he has for now because Bia won't accept anything else. After that, we see him use the tungsten rod to fight monsters and manage to kill them. Kisanoshi thinks he is stronger than him after seeing this, and Bia hopes that this shows Kisanoshi that he can help him. They talk about how he's still not used to his current level, which is why he's moving more slowly than before when Laya tells him that. With tears in his eyes, he tells him that he hopes that will still keep him by his side and that he wants to help Princess Lyria and Princess Sphai. The girls are always impressed by him, and Bia says that he might be a liability right now, but he will become Kaido's sword and do his best in the end. He tells Kaido that even though he is slower, he is strong enough to keep him. He tells him that he's excited to work with him, and Bia thanks him. Kaido then says that he'd like to test his skills first, so he fights some monsters to lower his HP and then uses Bia's Dark Cure skill to test it. He asks Bia to heal him and Bia with the Dark Cure. Does this Kaido feel better after the spell, but he sees that his HP is only slightly recovered. Bia tells him that the main purpose of Dark Cure is to heal injuries and restores their HP to a point where they won't die. This makes Kaido sad because he was hoping to use Dark Cure along with Beauty of Gluttony to make the spell last longer. Lyra asks if they should try this, but Kaido says no because he doesn't have much left of his HP. Lyra tells him that he won't die right away, and she wants to change back into her adult form. Kaido trips and falls while trying to get away from her. This time, Baraya offers to heal his wound, and he casts Dark. The wound on Kaido's hand no longer hurts, which makes him think that his skill is great and will help him save potions. This makes Baya happy, and as they go to the lower floors, they meet a metal, a golem. The others then say it's their turn to show what they can do. First, Hikari freezes the golem in place with her Ice Circle skill. Then, she cuts it in half with her Iron Cell skill. Aiki says that her skill uses a lot of MP, so she can't miss her attack, and Kaido thinks that both of them are great. Following that, they come across 3 Earth Golems. Now it's time for Miku and Snatcha to show off their skills. Snatch attacks the golems with his Hedgehog skill and Miku's Dance of Illusion skill to trap them in an illusion. This knocks them out. Kaido sees that their group move is stronger now and suggests that they check out S's new skill. As they look around the dungeon again, they find more monsters. He tells Sphai to use her skill song of the War Maiden, and he also tells Lyria and Berulia to join the fight, so he can see if her skill works on servants or not. She then starts singing her song, and an angel appears. The angel gives Kaido and his servants some buffs as a gift. They can feel strength running through their bodies, and they can also see that the monsters are moving in ways that make it easy for them to kill them. Lyria tells Kaido that she could feel her power growing after killing each monster with a single strike. Recently, she said that it wasn't as strong as the Beauty of Gluttony, but it still made her stronger. Kaido is glad that it also works on servants. When he asks Bia about it, Bia says that hearing didn't make him feel anything different. This Ai thinks that the skill's effect might depend on how much trust there is. Bia is upset to hear this, but Ai tells him to keep his cool because he can now build trust. The others also cheer him on. He also thanks them for this. After saying that he used to be a rear guard, he says that he is now a knight and can strengthen his sword skills. He says that he can do even more if he gets his sword, but Kaito tells him to wait. He leaves and Kaito comes back with the sword. He asks Baya if he can do more. Bia sees that this is a bastard sword, but he doesn't say anything, making the others wonder if he doesn't like it. He cries, though, because he is so happy to have a real sword. He promises to do his best, and then he fights some monsters with the sword. He can get them out as easily as cutting butter, which amazes the other people watching. Then Bia gives Kaito the magic crystals. Kaito says that he is more excited now that he has a sword. Baya is glad to hear that Kaito thanked him for all his hard work. Kaito then asks Bia if he can teach him how to use a sword, and Bia says yes. Kaito then asks if they should start right away. He says he'd love to, but he has to leave early today with Silly and Lyria. Whenever they ask him why he doesn't want to talk about the specifics, he says it's because they have a study group meeting at her house tomorrow with the servant. When the girls hear this, they start pouting. He tells them he's sorry and that he will be back soon. Scene then cuts to Kaito, his friends, and Haruka IT's house. They are shocked by how big it is. Then Miku and Hikari show up in their car and go inside. They look ahead and see only a forest. They don't know where the house is. Then they see. The girls are in a car on their way to the house, and Kaito asks them to take him along, but they show him the way for the men, and the men can't believe they have to walk afterward. The girls appear and greet Ai at her home. Haruka compliments Ai on how beautiful her home is. When she says nice things about Ai, she says that her house has been a dojo for a long time. Since this is the case, it has a setting that helps keep the mind technique and the body in balance. She says there is a dojo to improve your skills, a waterfall to calm your mind, and a garden for working out your body. The woman says that the hill is great for building basic strength, and she uses it every day. The guys then arrive at the house, and they are also very tired. When Ai sees them, he tells them to start studying, and the guys are shocked that they won't even have time to rest for a while. Then Ai takes them to the dojo, where the guys don't understand why they're there. They thought she'd take them to her room, but she tells them that her room is too small for all of them. She says that if she gets distracted, she can swing her spear here, and they can also go to the waterfalls. They are pretty sure that she is the only one who'd do those things if they couldn't stop thinking about them. And then they all sit down to study. Everyone finds a seat. Kaito wants to sit next to Haruka, but that seat is already taken. I suggest that he sit next to her. Haruka feels bad when she sees them sitting together, and Ai asks Kaito what he wants to learn. First, he wants to work on some math problems, and Ai helps him. Haruka is getting more envious as she sees them getting closer. So Hikari asks her to teach her. He says he can teach her too if she wants, but she says yes. He says that Hikari can ask him anything because he is good at everything. Hayato tells him that he is just bothering her. Hikari wants to learn from Haruka, and Kaito says that the two of them are a lot alike. Kaito thinks that Haruka will be a good teacher for her because she has always been caring and kind. His friends say that he knows Haruka pretty well and that she is also cute. When the other girls hear this, they get jealous, and Kaito tells them that she and the other girl are just friends from childhood. The girls are too tired to study after that, so I suggest that they go to the waterfalls. In winter, the boys aren't sure if they want to go there, but the girls do, and Kaito's friends agree too after seeing that they are going. They have no choice but to take Kaito with them, and the scene cuts to them at the waterfalls. While the boys are thinking about how cold the water is, the girls go into the waterfall first. They relax for a while and then stop. When asked how it was, they say that they feel a little better. He now asks Haruka. The girls say they're fine, and he thinks she looks cute in her wet clothes afterward. Now it's the boys' turn, but they can't stand being in the waterfall for long, so they leave. The scene then cuts to everyone leaving at night, and Shinji and Hayato say they forgot everything they learned because of the cold waterfall. The girls had fun, and they think they should do this again. The guys notice that they get along better now than they did in the morning, which makes Kaito happy. Kiato had fun in the waterfall, which Luciera and Seelai find out the next day. The girls make this point clear and say that they are in good shape because they had fun instead of studying. Today, if they keep going at this rate, Hikari thinks they might make it to the 10th floor. The servants don't like that they got to have all the fun. Lyra is determined to show that she is more useful than I and the others, so they all go ahead. Along the way, Mike tells Hikari not to push herself too hard, and Hikari says she has been having a great time lately, that these good times will never end, and she says she wants to be a hero. Then Spy tells them there are monsters ahead, and they see 2 silver orcs and a man lizard. Hideo tells Selphie to sing the War Maiden song, which makes everyone stronger. With her ice circle, Hikari freezes all the monsters, and Beryl attacks the lizard man while I and Kaito kill the silver orcs. There are then more monsters that show up, but Miku and Snatch work together to kill them. After killing all the monsters, Kaido and Baya take care of the rest. I also fight some of them. Lyra is mad that she didn't get to do anything, and Kaito is shocked that the monsters on the 9th floor are so easy to kill. Kino calms her down when she says that she also wants to be useful. And then he gives all of his servants magic crystals to eat. Hikari hopes they can keep having fun. The group then gets to the stairs leading to the 10th floor. Kaito asks if they should go down right away. Hikari says they should, and she leads the way, but she starts to feel sick and falls down. The other people see blood coming out of her mouth, and Miku, who has tears in her eyes, tells her to wake up. If you liked my recap, please share it and subscribe to get more updates on anime recaps. The episode begins when Kaito returns home recently, as he does every night, and his mother yells at him for exhausting himself, saying that he needs to study well to succeed. Kaito replies that he hasn't been overworking himself at all. The next morning, Kaito is late for school, and when he arrives at the classroom, he apologizes profusely to his teacher for the delay. The teacher is slightly annoyed, as he has been late frequently lately, and after another apology, Kaito takes his seat. After the lesson, Katsuragi stands with her classmates and asks if they will visit Hikari today. They respond that they will indeed go to check on her and then ask Katsuragi if she would like to join them. Katsuragi doesn't answer, and then Netten asks them to tell Hikari to take care of herself. After school, Kaito goes out with his friends. They notice he has seemed very tired lately, and Kaito tells them he's fine, just a little worn out and unable to shake the exhaustion. He mentions that he will take this route to head to Dima's. His friends ask him to come with them to visit Hikari, but Kaito responds that he will go search for the antidote and that they should go cheer Hikari up. His friends consider joining him on his search, but decide to visit Hikari instead since they're not strong enough to fight in Dima's. Meanwhile, we see Hikari with her friends playing cards, and she wins against them. One of her friends challenges her in the legendary game of Dangoda, but another friend suggests he surrender, as he can't beat Hikari in any game. Hikari laughs and tells him that she learned all these games from Miko, and that if they want to play anything else, they should think twice since her rank is SA50. After that, Hikari feels tired, and her friends ask her to rest, saying they'll visit her tomorrow to check on her. Hikari thanks them for their care and asks them to thank Katsuragi for the lovely gift, as she's been messaging her constantly to check on her. But Hikari is a bit sad because Katsuragi hasn't visited her even once. The friends try to change the subject, but Hikari tells them she feels like Katsuragi is somehow connected to Captain Katsuragi, as they resemble each other in many ways. One of her friends then reveals that Captain Katsuragi is actually Katsuragi's father. Hikari understands and explains that he was welcomed as a hero, since he was the first commander of the Special Dima's exploration team. However, after reaching the 41st floor, he went missing, and no one knows anything about him, which might be the reason Katsuragi hasn't come to the park. She's probably worried about their exploration in Dima's. Hikari's friends advise her not to overwork herself and to rest, but Hikari says once she recovers, she'll reach the 41st floor to find Captain Katsuragi, and then Katsuragi will be able to come to the park. Later, we see Takagi and Dimas with his companion, battling a terrifying monster using their magic. Bia lands a powerful strike, followed by Luz using the devastating power of Hellfire and aiming it at the monster. At the same time, Eri rushes in and delivers a powerful blow, and then Takagi finishes it off with his magical dagger. After defeating the monster, Miko remarks that the monster is worth a ton of experience points. Takagi congratulates Eri and Miko on leveling up, saying they gave an impressive performance. However, Lu is upset because neither she nor Sil leveled up. Then they find a magical core on the ground, which Takagi picks up. He asks his companions to continue on their way, as he wants to reach the gate today and delve deeper into Dima's. Lu, however, demands that he hand over the magical core first. The scene then shifts to Takagi, Miko, and Eri visiting Hitsugaya. Hitsugaya tells them that they've all worked hard lately, and the total amount they've gathered is 4,590,000 yen. She then distributes their share equally, but Takagi requests that it be divided into 4 parts, as Hikari is also part of their team and has a share just like them. Hitsugaya agrees, and after their meeting ends, Takagi and his friends leave. Takagi then asks if they wouldn't mind joining him on a trip to Daima's the next day. They agree, as long as they don't have any workshops or seminars at school, which makes Takagi happy. He then heads home to rest. However, when Takagi returns home, he doesn't sleep and instead watches a video of 2 people in Daima's, commenting that the adventure isn't fun if rare items are easy to find. They say they want to go to the deepest point of Daima's to get the treasures, which makes Takagi realize he needs to venture deeper into Daima's to find the antidote. He begins researching information about the monsters on the 12th floor. Later, they head back to Damas. Sil comments that they should go deeper than before. Bia informs Takagi that Eri and Miko couldn't make it today, so he's on his own. Takagi replies that going solo makes him nervous, but they'll take just a quick look to scout the area. Suddenly, Takagi stumbles and appears exhausted, worrying his friends. Sil notices the tiredness in his eyes, even though they always seem a bit foggy, and his face shows clear signs of fatigue. The little demon asks why Takagi doesn't take a day off from exploring. Takagi acknowledges their concern, but insists that they're only going to scout ahead and will return if things get tough. Upon reaching the 12th floor, Takagi notes that the floor is covered in ice. As they step in, Lu comments on how freezing it is, and Takagi agrees, suggesting they might need extra equipment. They decide to investigate a little further. Sil mentions that she doesn't sense any monsters nearby and pleads with Takagi not to overexert himself. As they continue their exploration, Takagi suddenly slips and warns everyone to be cautious. Lu asks if they can use hellfire to melt the ice, but Takagi advises against it, saying there's no need since there are no monsters or anything else around. Suddenly, Sil senses something strange, describing it as expanding rapidly, like an explosion. Out of nowhere, a swarm of bats appears, followed by large, numerous monsters. Sil quickly puts up a barrier, and they attempt to flee, but the monsters pursue them relentlessly. Realizing they can't escape, Takagi declares that they have no choice but to fight. He instructs Sil to use the Valkyrie song, and Lu unleashes her power to attack the monsters, but their attacks have little effect. The monsters even escape the fire magic unscathed. The creatures begin to close in on Takagi, and Lu asks the little demon to take him to safety while she stays behind to slow them down. She reveals that she gained a new skill when she leveled up. Lu and Sil combine their powers, and with teamwork, they finally manage to defeat and kill all the monsters. After that, the little demon tries to save Takagi but is unable to do so. He tells the others that Takagi's condition is critical and that he's run out of mana points to heal him. Lucille rushes over and slaps Takagi to wake him up. Seal and Louis quickly give him a potion to drink. And finally, Takagi regains consciousness. He thanks them for saving him, but is still very weak and collapses once more. The scene shifts to Takagi being examined by a doctor. His friends come in, and Hitsugaya asks what happened to him. Takagi explains that he faced a massive onslaught. The doctor reassures them, saying that thanks to the potion, his injuries are no longer a concern, but he needs to rest for a while. Hitsugaya, still concerned, says she'll ask him more about what happened later. Hikari then visits Takagi and asks if he's okay, to which Takagi replies that he was really scared. Later, Takagi walks with the girls, and Eri asks him if they should escort him home. Takagi responds, "Don't worry about me. I'll go alone. See you all tomorrow." He then hurries off, leaving them behind. And that concludes today's episode of this anime. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch all the latest updates.